Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Los Banos Talk. My name is Justin Collins. Tonight's episode is going to be an interesting episode. We're going to talk about the homeless a little bit, but primarily what we're really going to talk about is the federal funding that's been coming in from the government to help with the homeless problem at the local government level, how that's structured a little bit, and some apparent issues with it that were brought up recently by our state senator when she came in and visited us about a week ago. I'll be getting into all that in just a moment, right after a brief message from our sponsor. And we're back. Thanks for watching. So, on May 1st of this year, there was a small meeting, a public meeting that was held at the Los Banos Chamber of Commerce building. And the point of this meeting was really to talk about SB 87, which is a bill that Senator Caballero sponsored and played a large part of getting through. What this bill essentially did was it gave extra money, more relief money for small businesses so that businesses could apply for COVID relief. Businesses like nail salons, restaurants, etc. And there were a wide range of things that could be used for. And it was grant money, not a loan, so it didn't have to be paid back. Well, she was making her rounds throughout her district in order to educate local business owners on this bill so that a way they could apply before the deadline and take advantage of it. So one of the things that came up during the meeting, however, though, is homelessness. Former Mayor Mike Vialta came into the meeting and he started talking about homeless relief fund and how he was concerned with the way it's been allocated, basically saying that the money is federal money, but it's been going to the county, and then the county then decides how it's allocated and distributed, and basically created a situation where they couldn't move people to where there were resources, and also was saying that basically this created a situation in where encampment became the only solution, and argued basically that that's why there's the large encampment, behind Home Depot. Current Mayor Tom Faria spoke about how the city is currently applying for a grant through, I guess, Home Key. And what essentially this is going to do is, it seems like, buy a motel, and that space would be used to house many of the homeless that are currently living in the encampment right now that's located behind Home Depot. But it's a difficult situation, and the reality is that we're seeing unprecedentedly high numbers of homelessness that we've haven't seen really since the Great Depression, and a lot of it's due to the pandemic and the various business restrictions that have really ended a lot of jobs. So then the conversation turns to this federal funding and how they're waiting on it, and the money that's come here to assist during this special time of the COVID-19 pandemic and how it's been allocated to the cities. Former Mayor Mike Vialta essentially made the argument or complaint that he feels as though the money, because it's going directly to the county and then it's divvied out to the cities, that Los Banos is constantly getting the short end of the stick. And so he basically was saying he was concerned and had some kind of apprehensions about kind of how it was working with the COC. And so if you're not aware, the COC is an organization called the Continuum of Care. It's a California-wide thing. It's a federally created program. And essentially, it's like a smaller committee that basically helps determine and decide how this relief money would be spent and allocated and such. But when we got to that topic, Senator Caballero, some interesting things to say about it. So let's take a listen.
Not the home key.
Assemblymember Gray has been the point on that.
See, I'm trying to. So here's the deal about the homeless is that the homeless money that the state has put out has been done in a couple of different ways, and the pandemic created some of these programs like the home key and the Housing for the Harvest. Those are state programs. And the cities can apply for those grants. But the money that comes for homeless that is very flexible is the money that goes to the COCs. And I have to tell you, I agree with some of the issues that are around having the COCs. One is that it's a federally created organization. Number two is it has no requirement for transparency and like Brown Act violations and conflict of interest issues, because a lot of the people that serve on the COC also provide the services and also pay themselves, right? So if you know how the CDBG funds roll out, you do a whole process to figure who gets the resources. The COC has nothing like that. They can decide behind closed doors. It doesn't necessarily have to be a public meeting. So I have concerns about that structure, but it was an easy way to send money out that you could use for mental health services, for drug and alcohol counseling, for housing vouchers, to stand up a facility. It's really flexible, which is what we wanted to give the counties the ability to use. The problem is they haven't included, many haven't included the cities. And that's where the homeless are living, in the cities. So we should talk about what some of the solutions are, making sure that there's city representation on the COC.
Right. So as you can see, folks, the senator was saying that there's not any city representation on these COCs. She's essentially saying that the problem is that the cities are neglected and that the money is being spent on the county areas, but not the cities, which arguably is where a lot of the homelessness is. But even more concerning was how she was essentially saying there was conflicts of interest. Many of the people serving on the COCs also provide the services and essentially are using these funds to basically pay themselves. There is money and there are resources that are allocated to help with homelessness, especially during this this crisis that we're facing, but that due to the structure and the way things are organized, that she believes there's a certain degree of corruption, a certain degree of mismanagement, etc., that it's essentially resulting in this disparity we're seeing between different cities receiving funds. And it's also resulting in money not going basically where it's supposed to, or intended, I guess we could say. And so I found this really interesting that this was coming from, a state senator. It's not like it's somebody outside with a tinfoil hat on, saying this is corrupt or this is messed up or, people are paying themselves and so on and so forth. This is coming from, a state senator. So I took it very seriously. And I think it's something that we should look at and address if this is a legitimate concern, et cetera, because if it's a big enough deal for her to bring up at a public meeting in regarding to this issue, then I think it's something that we definitely should be paying attention to. Now, since I first made the article and published that video prior, staff from Senator Caballero has reached out to me and has essentially said that these are things that she's publicly said in the past, and these are things that she sees as issues with COC, and she does agree that these are legitimate issues. In this particular video, and you can see the 7 minutes of footage up to this point via my article where I've posted this video, you can see that the conversation was specifically really about our county. And so to me, this is implicating our county COC specifically, based on at least the conversation there and what I have recorded and what I can recall myself from being there. It really seemed as though essentially we were talking about our county specifically, and we were talking about the disparity between the east side of the county versus the west side of the county, and funding going to the county areas and the rural areas as opposed to the city. So that was my understanding and my takeaway from it. But I've included the entire footage itself in its unedited format, and you can see it for yourself and tell me what you think. But to me, it's pretty straightforward and cut and dry. what we're talking about. So tell me what you think about it in the comments below. Do you think this is something we should look into? Do you think that funds are being mismanaged? Do you think that there is more money than we seem to think there is for homelessness issues? Or do you think that it's more complicated than this? Do you think that she's passing the buck, or do you think this is a legitimate concern? Let me know what you think in the comments below. There's no right or wrong answer. If you haven't already, please like, follow, subscribe to Los Banos Talk. We have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and of course, LosBanosTalk.com. You can subscribe to the free newsletter on Los Banos Talk and get all the videos and articles, etc., straight to your phone, computer, or tablet via email. And also, you can become a supporter of Los Banos Talk either via the Facebook page or the website, LosBanosTalk.com, for just $4.99 a month and gain access to all of the exclusive content videos and all the videos first and ad-free. Once again, my name is Justin Collins, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.